Place a lab mouse in a glass enclosure and show it a video of a cat. It freezes in absolute terror. The cat never touches it, but the mouse wastes away and dies anyway. The sheer panic triggers a total biological collapse. It is killed entirely by a paper tiger. In 2012, a man found himself trapped in a human version of this exact experiment. He was diagnosed with terminal kidney cancer. This model maps out his prognosis. The tumors had spread to over 10 different locations across his skeleton. Doctors gave him 3 to 6 months to live. Being handed a terminal timeline does something devastating to the human brain. It acts exactly like that paper tiger. The psychological shock of the diagnosis shuts down the body's natural defenses, accelerating physical decline before the disease even runs its course. Desperate for a way out, he turned to online cancer communities. Instead of recovery strategies, he found forums filled with patients comparing pain medications and preparing for the inevitable. He realized that internalizing this collective despair would be fatal. Treating his life like a low-probability lottery ticket was going to kill him faster than the tumors. So he walked away. He rejected radiation, ended his chemotherapy, and retreated deep into the mountains, cutting himself off from the toxic environment. 10 years later, he is completely cancer-free. In fact, he is biologically healthier today than he was before his diagnosis. Surviving a terminal prognosis requires abandoning statistical probabilities. You have to stop playing the medical system's numbers game and start engineering your biological environment from the ground up. We usually talk about cancer like it's a foreign virus invading the body, but cancer is made of your own cells. The real issue is the terrain those cells live in. Years of chronic stress, poor diet, and exhaustion create an internal ecosystem that is highly acidic and starved of oxygen. As this diagram illustrates, when a healthy cell is forced to exist in a suffocating, hypoxic environment, it has to adapt. It mutates into a cancer cell as a desperate survival mechanism just to stay alive. If you rely on surgery to cut away that mutated cell, you remove the immediate problem, but the surrounding fluid is still toxic. The moment a new, healthy cell takes its place, it's forced to mutate all over again. Attacking the tumor doesn't solve the root issue. The tumor is an alarm bell, warning you that your internal ecosystem is collapsing. The master control panel for this internal environment is your autonomic nervous system. This model maps out what happens during severe stress. Between modern life and the sheer terror of a diagnosis, patients get locked into sympathetic dominance. The body thinks it's constantly under attack, routing all its energy directly to the heart and muscles. Because energy is diverted for immediate survival, the system actively powers down its long-term maintenance protocols. Digestion, cellular repair, and immune function are starved of power and forced offline. To reverse this, he implemented a strict physiological counter-routine. He chewed his whole foods exhaustively, immersed himself in nature, and actively eliminated his fear. These specific, repetitive actions physically force the body's circuitry to flip out of panic mode and into parasympathetic dominance, the state of rest and digest. Once that switch is flipped, the immune system reboots. Oxygen returns to the tissues, and because the toxic threat is gone, the cancer cells no longer need their mutated survival traits. They naturally undergo apoptosis, clearing out of the body on their own. This biological reset doesn't mean abandoning modern medicine. Hospitals and pharmaceuticals are incredibly effective tools, but they are designed to manage immediate physical crises to buy you time. As this layout shows, there is a strict divide between treatment and healing. Doctors administer treatments to suppress symptoms and keep you stable, but actual healing, the correction of your internal environment, can only be executed by your own biology. Achieving this requires drafting the health constitution, a strict, non-negotiable set of daily physiological and psychological rules designed to keep your body anchored in parasympathetic dominance. Operating under these rules changes the entire dynamic of illness. You stop being a passive victim waiting for the next test result and become the active engineer of your own ecosystem. The next time your body issues a terrifying biological warning, the answer isn't to panic and shoot the messenger. You have to change the environment, trust the machinery, and let the host heal itself.